So you're gearing up for your Class 12 board exams, and you know just how tricky those find the output questions on Python functions can be. Well, today, we're going to crack them wide open.
All right, let's jump right in with a classic question, straight from a previous year's paper. Take a good look. You've got a global variable, two different functions messing with it, and a couple of function calls at the end. What do you think the final printout's going to be? Go on, take a guess, and lock in your answer.
So if your head is spinning a little bit trying to track how that variable g is changing, hey, don't worry about it. Here's my promise to you. In the next few minutes, you'll have the exact method to solve this and any question just like it with total confidence. Okay, so first things first, a super quick recap. User-defined functions, they're just named blocks of code you create to do one specific thing. Think of them as your little helpers. They're basically the building blocks that keep our code neat, tidy, and way easier to handle. All right, let's get into the first big hurdle, how we actually send information into our functions. This is all about arguments and parameters, and believe me, getting this part right is absolutely crucial.
This is the one you probably use all the time, right? It's the most straightforward way. If you have a function like def add a, b, and you call add 3, 5, Python just matches things up by position. The first value, 3, goes to the first parameter, a. The second one, 5, goes to b. Simple. With positional arguments, the order is everything.
Now this is where things get a little more flexible. With keyword arguments, we can take that same add function and call it like this. Add b equals 5, a equals 3. See what we did? By using the parameter names, we're explicitly telling Python where to put each value. And just like that, the order doesn't matter one bit.
Okay, let's imagine a function for calculating interest, something like def interest PRT equals 5. We've given the time period, t, a default value of 5. So if you just call the function with the principal and rate, Python will automatically use 5 for the time. Of course, you can always provide your own value if you want. Super useful, right? It just makes some of those arguments optional.
Okay, listen up, because this is a big one. That last rule on the slide, it's a game changer. In a function definition, any parameter that has a default value must be placed after all the parameters that don't. If you try to switch them around, you'll get a syntax error, and trust me, this is a super common trap they love to put in exams.
All right, let's get to the main event. This next topic, scope, is literally the key to cracking those tough output questions. It's all about figuring out which parts of your code can see and use which variables.
I love this analogy. It just makes so much sense. Think of a global variable like the giant scoreboard at a stadium. Everybody, every single function can look up and see its value. A local variable, on the other hand, is like a player's secret notes. Only that player inside their own function can see them. And poof, when the function is done, those notes just disappear.
So, that brings us to the classic problem, right? We've got a global score of 100. Then, inside our function, we try to add 10 to it. What do you think happens when we run this? Does it work?
And boom, it crashes. The moment you try to assign a new value to score inside that function, Python goes, oh, you must be making a new local variable also called score. But then it sees you trying to use that new variable on the right-hand side before you've even defined it. It's basically Python's way of protecting that main scoreboard from anyone just running on the field and changing it by accident.
So, how do we fix it? Well, you have to ask for permission, officially. By putting the line global score at the very top of our function, you're basically telling Python, hey, listen up. When I talk about score in here, I mean the big one, the global one. So let me change it.
Okay, so we've got arguments, we've got scope. Now it's time to put it all together. Time to put on our code detective hats. And our number one tool, our secret weapon for this, is the trace table.
All right, remember that question from the beginning? Let's go back to it. But this time, we're not guessing. We're going to trace this thing line by line and find the exact, undeniable answer.
Okay, let's do this. Let's build our trace table. First up, in the global space, the variable g gets set to 0. Then, we hit our first function call, fun1, with 2 and 3. So we jump inside fun1. The parameters x and y get the values 2 and 3. The line global g tells Python we're targeting the main scoreboard. So g gets updated to x plus y, which is 5. Now, we pop back out to the global scope. The function call returns 5, so our variable k becomes 5. Next up, we call fun2, passing in k, which is 5, and 7. Inside fun2, m becomes 5 and n becomes 7. Again, global G gives us permission to change the main scoreboard. G is updated to m-n, which is 5 minus 7, giving us -2. And finally, that last line just prints the current value of our global variable, G.
And there you have it. The final output is -2. The trace table doesn't lie.
Okay, ready for another one? This is a classic pattern you'll see with default arguments. We have 3 separate calls to the same exact function. Let's see how those default values for quantity and discount change things up with each call.
All right, let's trace these real quick. In the first call, we only give the price. So quantity defaults to 1, discount defaults to 0, and we get 100. For the second call, we provide a quantity of 2, overriding the default. The discount is still 0, so the total is 200. And in the last one, we give all 3 arguments. So we calculate a 10% discount on 200, which leaves us with 180. Easy, right?
Whew, okay, that was a lot. So let's wrap this all up into a handy little toolkit you can take with you for the exam.
You gotta watch out for these. They're the classic traps. Forgetting to use global, that's easily the #1 mistake people make. Getting the default argument order wrong is another big one. And just drill this into your head. Without that global keyword, a function is always playing in its own sandbox with its own local variables, even if they share a name with a global one.
And now for the pro tips to really nail these questions. Tip number 1, make a trace table. Tip number 2, make a trace table. And tip number 3, seriously, always make a trace table. It takes something that feels confusing and turns it into a simple step-by-step process. No guesswork needed. You track every variable, know its scope, and just follow the code. It's foolproof. So look, if there's only one thing you remember from all of this, please let it be this. Don't try to solve these complex problems in your head. That piece of rough paper and a pen are your best friends here. Don't just read the code, trace it.
You know, this quote really says it all. Knowing about the trace table is just an idea. The real power, the thing that's going to earn you those marks, is when you actually do it. When you pick up a pen and put that idea into action on paper. That is how you master these questions. You've got this. Good luck.